All right, I'm interviewing Joan Myers, a New Windsor resident who attended New Windsor School for first grade through 12th grade and then came back to teach here later. What was your first day of school like?
Oh, I remember that being, I have pictures of that actually, and Mrs. Nottingham was my first grade teacher. Probably, like most first graders at that time, a bit upsetting because not used to being away like the students are today. But in the first grade classroom, I just remember things being a little different, and it was one of those. I think I was told when I went home from school, I said it was okay, but do I have to go back again? And then I went back and did 30 years of teaching after that. So.
Wow. Couldn't have been too bad.
No.
Now, you were attending school with first through 12th grade, so there were older kids and younger kids. Was there a lot of interaction between the grades, or did you have your separate classrooms?
Everything was, there were separate classrooms. The buses were, everybody was, all ages were on the same bus. So that was intimidating enough that I was only a mile out of town, so, and where our farm was, I had to go to an upper lane, walk further in order to get the bus. So I think I talked my mother into bringing me most of the time. Oh. And but being with all the older ones, that made a difference there. Mm-hmm. So,
that would be intimidating, mm-hmm. especially with the older kids. Mm-hmm. And then, how big was your graduating class when you did graduate from New Windsor?
There were 27 of us that graduated, at which we just had a reunion on Saturday. But we have quite a few that changed to other schools for different reasons, and but we have a lot of fond memories. And as I was sitting out at the ribbon cutting on Tuesday and just thinking, well, there was my first grade, second grade, third grade, and then fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade up here. And when I was in sixth grade, Miss Ivy Fowler mm-hmm. was the principal, and she would choose different ones. She'd have she was the principal of the elementary, and she'd call meetings in the middle of the day, and she'd send different ones of us to stay with the classrooms while the teacher was called to these meetings. I don't think that would be allowed now, but I do have memories of going to the first grade and second grade classrooms. And, maybe that's when I decided I wanted to be a teacher, whatever.
All right. Now you said the first and second grade were on the first floor of the building?
First, second, and third were on the first floor. And then on the second floor was fourth, fifth, and sixth. Mm-hmm. And so the office and all, of course, was right up at this end. And when I came back to teach here, we'd say, well, principal got busy and really didn't get around to observe like she mm-hmm. thought she would. But by being on the same floor with the office, they knew what was going on. And as I went up the steps a while ago to the third floor, I said, oh, this is where... Because when I came back to teach, I was mainly in the last room down here, and where had gone to fourth grade. I came back to teach fourth grade, and in the evening when the buses were called, I'd walk out into the hallway and watch the big middle schoolers coming down the steps and try to keep a little bit of order there, but I can just remember some of those strange things. And the cold part of it was when we were here teaching, the buses would come in up on the parking lot. So somebody had to be on bus duty up in the cold, up at the end of the steps as the students got off the bus. And one thing I do remember, I had one student one winter, wore glasses, lost them in March, and when the snow melted, no, I guess he had lost them earlier in the winter. When the snow melted in late March, we found them outside by the door out there. So you never know.
You never know. So how was the fourth grade class that you attended as a child different from the fourth grade class that you taught? I mean, what had changed about the school? And
well, at that point, I had Mrs. Wilt as my fourth grade teacher, and when I came back to teach here, she was the principal of the whole school, and her daughter was in fourth grade. So actually, I started in the middle of '66, took somebody else's place, and then when I was going to have her daughter in class, I'm thinking, oh my. But not the change of, as far as technology and all that you have now. There were changes in, of course, some of the books and all, but not the huge change that you have in technology.
You don't want the Christmas
No.
tree on that grade.
And oh yes, as I was teaching one Christmas, one December, I got here, of course, early, and walked into the room, and here one of the boys from town had brought this Christmas tree in. And I went to Mrs. Wilt and I said, we can't have a live tree, can we? No. And she thought I meant my husband had brought it. And I said, no. And when we found out he'd cut this from right next to the parking lot here. So for a long time you saw the stump of the tree that my student had cut and thought he was being nice to bring in. He was always in trouble, and I think he spent most of his years in jail, but you get quite a few of those. I had 38 students in class, I know, one time. Yeah, so,
now, when you attended fourth grade, how many students were in your class? Do you remember?
probably in the 20s. I just don't remember. But I know one year we had 38, and then after that we were told we couldn't have more than 30. So. And now, of course, the numbers have gone even lower, 22, 23, which is great, and even have assistants and all with them. So.
Right. Now, what year did you come back to teach here at Windsor?
1966, I took somebody's place here. I had studied music and taught at Francis Scott Key 2 years, and had 2 boys, and so I did some substitute work and just in this area. And Mrs. Wilt called and said there was an opening here, and then said, you know, if you want to apply, it's going to be open the next year. So that's where I came and spent that time. But it's just very interesting to look around and think what we did here and there, and what's been changed to a wonderful manner about it. And then to go on the 3rd floor and see it a little more rugged as what we really were used to, and just really happy that I think it's great for the community, and the glad it's been used well, and still see our old school in it. So
yes. Well, great. I just have one question. We're over here in the offices, so what age was this? Was this 4th grade or 5th grade over here, or was this a classroom at one time? Or?
This was let's see, on the end was the music room, and then the media center was in the middle.
Oh, all right.
And then we had our 12th grade homeroom. Mrs. Benninghoff was in right next to the office then. And I do remember when I was a senior, Mrs. Benninghoff was not well, and actually they had somebody in the library kind of watching her, that she just wasn't well, and actually she passed away during our senior year, or I guess senior year, and we remember going to her funeral, but there were windows between the library and her room. And of course the library is nothing compared to what the media centers are in the schools today. Mainly a few books and small in number, and so that's really a good change in all of our schools today.
Yes.
So,
All right, well, I'd like to thank you, Joan, for sitting down with us and having this interview.
Glad to. And
All right.
brings back lots of happy memories here to
I bet.
come back. So,
Well, good. We're glad you came back for us.
okay.